Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. Welcome to the match preview of our upcoming game tomorrow at 5:55 against PAOK Salinka. You guys, it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow, but you know how I do the format. I'm going to start off by giving some general news. Then I'm going to give a brief review on the press conference. Then I'm going to give the predicted lineup for the game tomorrow, as well as talking about our opponents for tomorrow and talking about the tactical things we can do to beat them. But you guys, before I get straight into things, smash that like button, help me get more than 1,000 likes for today's video, and let's get straight into things. Starting with general news, Ampadu has agreed to a new 5-year contract. Still, nothing yet from Bolka or Hudson-Odoi when it comes to a new contract. But congrats to Ampadu. The guy's probably balling right now with the money he's made from this new contract. He definitely got a nice contract. And Marina actually released a statement on him. But to be fair, since the start of this season, she's been giving her thoughts and opinions on each signing we've made. But of course, she said the standard thing of Ampadu is part of the future. And obviously we want to keep this guy at the club for the foreseeable future. And I have to say, credit to Ampadu, he's really developed over this past year and he looks like a much more accomplished player. We've seen how bigger he's got now. Defensively, he's very good and I think he's got a very promising, exciting future at Chelsea. Now, moving on to the press conference. The press conference did come a bit later. This is why the video was a bit delayed, but I mean, a lot of interesting things said by SARRI. And it's going to be interesting to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. But getting straight into things, Hazard, Luiz, Kovacic and Emerson haven't travelled with the squads. We do have a 21-man squad for the game tomorrow. Guys like Drinkwater won't play a part at all because he wasn't drafted into play in Europe. But SARRI did admit that the squad is too big, and he said that realistically, he can't guarantee every single player game time. So if anything, it does kind of indicate that players will be moving again in January, most likely Daddy Drinkwater. When SARRI was questioned about Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he did say that yes, he does have great promise, which he's been saying about all the young players, so there's nothing new there. But he did state that he isn't too sure if Ruben Loftus-Cheek will be playing. He doesn't know if there's going to be a spot available in the team for tomorrow. And he tried to reiterate the point that the first team need to play more games together because they need to really understand and get used to the system. If I constantly keep trying to change things, it's only going to slow down that process. So from that point of view, I do understand things. But from my fan point of view, I'm a bit frustrated. SARRI did reiterate as well that there are going to be spots available in the future, so players still should be a bit patient. SARRI stated that he's going to make 4 to 5 changes for the game tomorrow. And he also said that he isn't too sure if Callum Hudson-Odoi will play a part just yet, as he isn't too sure if it's the right time. So that is a bit frustrating, and come on Uncle SARRI, don't let me down. But I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions briefly on the press conference, and as I'm saying, it does make sense from what SARRI's saying from a coaching point of view. It's best for the first team to really get used to things quickly, but at the same time, I'm sorry, we're playing a Europa League team. We're playing PAOK. They're not the greatest of teams, I'm sorry. If guys like Sancho can play Champions League games against Club Brugge, I don't see why it's a struggle for guys like Ampadu or Hudson-Odoi to potentially start. With me saying this though, there's a massive chance that SARRI's playing things very close to the books because he doesn't want to reveal his lineup, so PAOK can really plan against that. So that does make sense. A lot of managers do things like that. But the sentiment from what I was getting from his press conference didn't really give me too much confidence. So it might be one of those things where we have to really wait and see what happens. But, let's remember, we are playing against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. Imagine if they do beat us, that means we're out the tournament. And that means that's going to be game time that Ampadu, Hudson-Odoi and other players like that will miss out on. So it is pretty risky. And I think realistically, we're most likely going to see these guys coming on as substitutes during the game tomorrow. So let's hope by then we are winning 3 or 4-0 in the first half. Now you guys, moving on to the predicted lineup part. Remember, I'm giving my educated guess on the lineup I think SARRI might use for tomorrow. And as you guys can see here, this is the team that I think SARRI's going to look at. Now in the back of my mind, I kept remembering that he said that he might change 4 to 5 players. So I kept thinking that most likely means that key players will play a part in the game tomorrow. The type of key players where you can't really afford to miss out on them. So I think that Jorginho and Rudiger will play tomorrow. SARRI's already told us that Morata's going to be playing tomorrow. And I think Willian and Zappacosta will be the other 2 players because they did come on as substitutes. Remember, Emerson isn't with the squad, and I can see Caballero playing against them tomorrow. As I'm saying, I think it's going to come down to substitutions. Let's hope that no one gets any stupid red cards tomorrow, and let's hope that we are winning the game comfortably, and SARRI does make early substitutions, because remember, SARRI isn't opposed to making subs in the 50th minute. We've seen him do that time and time again. But I have to say, if I don't see Ampadu or Hudson-Odoi getting significant minutes tomorrow, or Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well, then I think that someone at the club has to take away SARRI's cigarettes. He needs to get punished. He has to get a little tap on the wrist. Like, you can't be rewarded, in my opinion, if I don't see Hudson-Odoi getting good minutes, or the rest of those guys. With Victor Moses, I think there's a chance he might be starting tomorrow. I think SARRI's spoken about using him on the wings, and I think that with Willian playing on the left-hand side, it makes a lot of sense. I can see him resting Pedro for the game against West Ham. It doesn't make sense to really use Pedro on Thursday and on Sunday again. So I think that's the lineup I see us using. Now, moving on to who our opponents are for tomorrow, PAOK. And to be honest, you guys, it has been pretty difficult to really get an understanding. It's been impossible to find games, so I haven't really been able to look at, how they're playing as a team. Most times to get my judgment, I have been watching, YouTube compilations or YouTube highlights from their games against Benfica, for example. So it's not going to be my most in-depth analysis on them, which is a bit disappointing. I spent a lot of time trying to find things, but it just wasn't the case. But from everything I've seen of them so far, they kind of remind me a bit of a Southampton in terms of how they like to play. Now they do have Ravzan Lucescu as a manager. I'll probably butcher that name, apologies for that, but Lucescu is actually the son of Mirescu Lucescu, the guy who's the Shakhtar Donetsk manager. And since he's taken over at PAOK, he's been doing a really, really good job. Since the start of this decade, PAOK are on an upwards trajectory. They do play pretty entertaining football. They do use a 4-2-3-1 system, and they did invest pretty heavily last summer. They spent about £30 million, and they signed decent players like El Kadori, the guy that was playing for Napoli and Empoli. They've got Jose Canaz, the guy who was a midfield player at Swansea City, a very tenacious guy in midfield. Projovic, a towering Serbian target man who was the top goal scorer in the Greek league with 19 goals last season. They just signed him from Legia Warsaw last season. But again, he's a decent player. And of course, the golden boy Virinha, he did sign from Wolfsburg again. He did rejoin PAOK Athens. And I have to say, you guys, if you go to PAOK's YouTube channel, they put a fantastic video that we released, basically documenting how their cup final was against AEK Athens. And it was a very, very entertaining watch, I must say. So definitely give it a watch. But SARRI is probably right. Out of the other teams we are facing in the group stage, they pose the most threat. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really make too much of a difference in my opinion. I know I'm going to sound a bit arrogant. I don't mean to be. And if anything, I was going through PAOK's website, and they actually do give some pretty juicy snippets in terms of what the squad are doing daily. And they made the point that Lucescu was actually joining the team to work on various drills, and they only played on half of the pitch. Now that tells me that there's a massive chance that they are going to play very defensively against us. It makes no surprise when you're working on so many drills. That means to me that you're focusing on players, and there's a lot of instructions that players need to follow to really stay in the game that long. And of course, only using half the pitch. If you're going to play your normal expansive game, you'll be using the full pitch. Using half the pitch tells me that they will be looking to sit deep and defend. So in a way, they kind of leaked out how their approach is going to be for the game tomorrow. So it's not going to be a surprise to all of us. But I think that their main threats, of course, are their target man up front. Very good aerially, very strong, and he's decently quick, actually, I must say. El Kadori is pretty skillful. He can provide a threat, but he doesn't really have a goal threat. He's more of a creator in that sense. And I can see Canas and Mauricio in midfield being very tenacious on the ball, trying to close down the spaces, but I don't personally see it as being too much of an issue or a problem tomorrow. I think it's going to be a very standard team, a pretty easy team in my opinion, and I expect us to get goals. Now, when I made the comparison with Southampton, that's because he does like his teams to use a 4-2-3-1, where they like to use advanced playmakers out wide who do look to cut inside, allowing their fullbacks to push forward. Virinha, a very attacking-minded fullback. He used to be a winger beforehand, playing as a left-back. He does have a goal threat as well. And of course, the Brazilian Leo Matos. He's been at PAOK for a while now, and he's pretty good going forward as well. But just one more thing to really stress to you, that they will be playing very defensively tomorrow, and that's the fact that with PAOK, when they do play away from home, they like to play a bit more defensively. When they're at home, they like to attack, but there's no way in hell playing against this quality of opposition. They will play their standard game, so they'll just be defending, and I think that it's really going to play into our hands a lot. And I think this is a nice way to segue into the final part of this video, just discussing how I think we can get at them and cause them issues. Number one, I think we'll stop them from having any counter-attacking possibilities. I think that with us really dominating the flanks, with our wide forwards cutting inside, playing within the lines on top of that as well, it's really going to occupy their midfield. They will be working very hard and looking to really close down the spaces. And when you exert a lot of energy in defending, it does really hamper your counter-attacking possibilities. Now, there's a possibility that, you know, by the grace of God, which if you're a PAOK fan, you're definitely hoping that's going to be the case, that maybe you get a penalty or a free kick or set piece, whatever, or we hit the crossbar 4 or 5 times. But I mean, that's a lot of divine intervention, and it gets you thinking, if you're hoping for that type of luck, you might as well just stick with playing lottery tickets instead of hoping your team's going to win, if you know what I mean. But there really isn't much to add on to this from a tactical standpoint, because I think it's going to be a very routine win tomorrow. And the thing I'm focusing more is the lineup, and if the young players are going to get a chance to show what they can do. I definitely think that Morata needs to do something in this game tomorrow. I think playing against this type of opposition, it's a game where he can really build his confidence and tell SARRI, you know what, you can rely on me, I can provide something, because, you know, we do have important games coming up against Liverpool and obviously West Ham as well. But I think with this game tomorrow, it's going to give us a great indication in terms of just how good our squad depth is. I hope that Cesc gets some game time and replaces Jorginho later on. I'm praying that Ampadu and Hudson-Odoi are going to play in this game tomorrow as well. It'll be barely disappointing if they barely get any minutes. And I'm hoping that if it's a very convincing win, and I'm hoping that if it is going to be a very convincing win, SARRI's going to maybe lighten up a tiny bit and not worry too much about the team needing more time to get used to things. Hopefully, if he sees that B team performing very well, he's going to have confidence in the rest of the squad, and hopefully that might mean that he does rotate a bit more. But anyway, you guys, my score prediction for the game tomorrow is 4-0 Chelsea. I think that we are going to batter these guys tomorrow, but it should be an entertaining game. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to be gone now. I'm the EFC from Blue Lines TV. Don't forget to smash that like button, help me get more than 1,000 likes, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.